Sure.
Would you join that meta?
No, no.
What if there's a really compelling reason?
I don't know. I mean, I really think it's just, I don't know. I think it's just funny, but.
Yeah, what if, I feel like you appreciate studies. If someone brought the study of why having more airflow around your scalp would lead to professional success, then maybe it would, but only some heads shaven on the stage today between GG and Team Liquid. Making her way through the bans and Rell being the first locked in. What do you think of just how she's been making waves, not just in support, but in the jungle position?
That champ is pretty broken. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, we played it today, and I mean, every team in the league is playing it. It can go support, it can go jungle. I mean, it's just kind of like, you could just get guaranteed montage engages, so it's pretty hard to play against it, yeah. Oh, Rumble.
I also hear Rumble's pretty broken.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. People really like the Rell Rumble combo, so you don't really want to give that away, especially to Licorice, who's like been pretty good on Rumble. Yeah, so that's probably why they're taking it away. I'm curious to see if TL will flex it jungle as well, because people are doing that too.
So basically, what would thinking about the red side versatility of it now, what's the counter that Licorice might play into it, but can't necessarily lock now because they can just flex it?
Well, I don't want to give away too much, you know, because we're playing against teams tomorrow. But I will say that, you know, there can be some carry champions that can work against Rumble, but it's just like, since it's red side, they can always, like you said, just flex it last second to jungle and then pick something really punishing top. And I mean, Summit is definitely that guy, you know, he is that guy that will play those counters. So, you know, and Pyosik's definitely the type of jungler who will play just random stuff and play anything, honestly. Yeah. So.
For a pick to truly be flexible, it has to be playable across multiple players. But here, a classic for CoreJJ coming through.
Yeah, he had a hard carry Thresh performance, I believe, last week. One of the few who's still playing Thresh.
Yeah, I mean, people are playing Thresh into Rell as a counter. So I'm actually curious if people can actually like counter if they'll actually flex the Rell to jungle now instead of support and counter the Thresh with something. I'm really curious if they'll do that.
Curious about that for sure, but for everyone watching, remember that tickets are officially on sale for the LCS Championship in Newark, New Jersey on August 19th and 20th. Head on over to Ticketmaster.com right now to claim your spot. And we are still quite a ways away from knowing what teams will be attending that specific weekend, trying to round out this final week of regular play. And Golden Guardians and Team Liquid will definitely be fighting through their opportunity to make it there.
Yeah, high chance Revenge or Golden Guardians or TL. I'm saying like guaranteed one of those three make it.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to play on the big stage. It's honestly been my dream since I was like watching League when I was like 12 years old or something. So, you know, I definitely want to do that, and I've been waiting for it, you know, all my career so far. So I'm really gonna try hard for that.
And you attended still in the spring, right? You were going to the finals and kind of meeting fans. Do you feel that that kind of invigorates you all the more to be able to attend in a stage capacity? Yeah,
I mean, my first event ever for League was actually in Chicago Summer Finals, and that was like a huge, just motivational moment for me to just like be there in person. So for me, I think that helped me a lot actually get better in these last two splits. That motivation extra to just see it in person, really. But yeah, I mean, if you notice, they actually banned Melio on the TL side as well.
Yeah, after the Thresh ban.
Yeah.
Because of the Rell jungle flex possibility.
Yeah. I'm really curious. Huhi's actually a Blitzcrank player, which has traditionally been a counter to Thresh. I'm actually expecting to see him pick it here, honestly.
So one thing about Rell jungle is I feel like your damage does end up being like fairly low. I see these like Alistar Rell combos or like Alistar Blitz. Would that be a concern or no?
Well, I'm curious to see what Licorice will pick now, because if you have like a high DPS mid AD,
you kind of need a carry top if you're gonna run the.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to like be a carry, but if it's like Renekton or Jax or these type of champions, then it definitely helps. Oh, they're actually gonna put the Rell support. That's honestly not bad in this game. Don't.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Support.
All right, so Viego coming through. I know that there have been some junglers that have been popping off, you know, Armeo earlier in the season, and then Blabber, I think, having a good time in parts in the middle. But what do you think of going in that carry direction for River, who has been such a strong point for Golden Guardians?
Yeah, I was actually about to say, so a good way to counter Rumble top is to pick ganking junglers, which a lot of people have been doing globally. I mean, TL literally did it as well against FlyQuest, where you just pick a carry jungler like, you know, Lear Viego, spam gank that Rumble. It's going to be a crazy top 2v2 game this game, is my prediction. And it's going to be hard for Rumble to play 1v1, right? Because like Rumble always wants to push, he always wants to pressure, and if he doesn't, he's honestly like going to fall really behind.
Yeah.
So that's probably what we're going to see here, and that's Vi locked
That's
into.
the Vi. Time to fight. I
Yep.
mean, Team Liquid does always like to fight. The biggest surprise is that they have this little Viktor running around in the mid lane. We haven't really seen much Viktor at all. Even though Azir Viktor is a super classic matchup, it just kind of makes sense for Team Liquid, actually. Ever since they subbed in APA, he's been playing these control mages. They've been playing, I think, generally better team fighting comps. But this one is a lot about skirmishing, and then you kind of just have a Viktor.
I'm really curious to see how the Viktor will do, because I expected a more APA-style champ to come out, like that he's been playing recent, because none of them have actually... Well, I guess Ziggs has been banned. Okay, that's a big one.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty like normal pick into Azir that he's been doing as well for like most of his career. So yeah, I'm curious to see how it'll do. I think the problem is, in this matchup, Azir will try to look for a lot of kills on the Viktor at 6, and that can also be like another point of aggression for Golden Guardian. So I really like the Golden...
Looking to sneak up the standing as much as possible. GG potentially even fighting for that #1 spot. We'll see what they can do here. I do love having you on Golden Guardians games because of the way in which they do play towards top side sometimes, and just the way that Licorice and River work together. And having your perspective on top lane is always a great little gift for us.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think this game, Summit actually went a bit more on the defensive side. He went teleport instead of ignite, which a lot of Rumbles do. So I'm curious to see if that'll affect things in the top 2v2, but I think it should still be favored for TL, but I think it could go either way, right? So really curious to see how this matchup plays out.
And I know Summit getting a lot of respect from you and other top laners, and for his early game in particular.
Yeah, he's pretty good at laning. So, you know, I think that if you take that away from TL and he does falter in lane, I think it does generally make their games harder, but I will say their bot lane has stepped up a lot, TL's bot lane. Like, they've been playing pretty well this split, so, you know, I feel like they have like 2 really strong points of power in their team.
They've been so dominant in the early game. I think that's part of why it's working so far with APA, because he picks these big team fighting mages, and then the side lanes just apply a ton of pressure in the early game. I'm kind of curious from your perspective what it's like playing against Pyosik in the early game, because he seemed so bad in spring, but has been seemingly just way more effective in summer. Do you feel like he's changed something, or is the flips just working?
Well, I scrimmed against TL a lot in spring too, and I always felt like Pyosik was good in spring, in scrims at least, and I was wondering when it would come out. Specifically, like, you know, finding those really creative things to do in early games. So it wasn't like a huge surprise to me that he came back in summer and is like showing that, you know. So, oh yeah, this is looking, I think Summit, yeah, this is pretty bad.
Leaping upon him to mark him down to half HP, already popping the pots.
I don't know if he didn't push fast enough level 1. I'm not sure if that Jax just, you know, could do that himself no matter what, but I feel like now Jax has a lot more control. He can breathe a lot easier, so he can actually crash on the 3rd wave, and it makes the jungle top 22 situation a lot better for Golden Guardians.
Continually going in on Summit, and this time getting the stun up. And again, as you said, Summit with that teleport, not ignite, so should it get close in any of the solo skirmishes up top, could be a dicey one. APA now in some trouble though, with River and Gori. I'll miss, drawn down, flash for flash.
Wow.
APA, the subject of first blood drawn from River.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like this is gonna be a hard week for APA. You know, I feel like people have kind of figured out that he's not probably the best at soaking up pressure like this, and oh man, it looks like they're gonna just do it to him again.
He has no flash. Huhi's here as well. If he goes for this wave, he's just dead.
He loves unlocking himself from lane as soon as he can, and now may be the time, flashing on forward with River by his side. APA locked down by the crash down. The burn is good, and now River, 2 kills to him at 3 minutes and 25 seconds.
That's an open. Like, that's actually an open mid. Like, I mean, the wave is frozen as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they ganked him again, honestly, when he comes back.
Well, Pyosik's got to flip something now. Like, look where he is. He's waiting for this top lane 2v2.
Oh my God,
I think.
He's
going to wait there forever.
Dude.
He's waiting. River,
he's just waiting there, man.
River is feeling himself. On to Summit he goes. Summit does still have that flash.
It's going to work.
And now, blowing some flames back, channel through from River, does grab that flash, and now Pyosik closing the gap with the Q. Licorice and River do lie low, but Pyosik can't follow up anymore.
You know, people talk about Pyosik being the early game guy, but like, River really doesn't get enough credit for how crazy he is in these early games. He is like, for sure, the most frustrating jungler to play against. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's an insane sequence. Being able, basically everything's lining up for this top lane 2v2 from draft because you see the Rumble versus the Jax. They're trading super hard. But when he's getting vision for that top lane dive by just warding Raptors, he just sneaks around and kills APA, and they completely change their game plan. Then top lane doesn't get punished either because he covers. It's actually just such an insanely good sequence.
Yeah, and if you guys notice here too, Thresh is coming mid as well to just to let APA breathe here because, like, I mean, this actually helps Golden Guardians is following too. So this is, you know, this is going to be a tough game for TL.
Yeah, what a time for Golden Guardians in the early game. 1,000 gold ahead and both kills into the pocket of the carry jungler. I know you were just talking about people not giving River enough credit. It does seem like he does alter the way you have to approach the game. I know Spica, when he was on the dive, talked about that. You know he's going to try and make these early plays, how that affects your warding. We saw in Golden Guardians' victory over Cloud9, even when seen on a ward, just staying down bot to make the play afterwards. Do you feel like you have to take that extra amount of care when facing against the way that River likes to play?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, every jungler in the league has a playstyle, and like, the thing is, River had this playstyle even back when he was on Dig, like when he was like just surfing around the map on the Jarvan and stuff. So seeing him on like a much better team now with like better players and just being able to really showcase his strength has definitely been a pleasure to watch, honestly.
Yeah, and I think one thing with the way we, as you know, NA fans kind of experience Golden Guardians, we hear so much from Huhi, we hear so much from Stixxay and so much from Licorice. We don't really hear that much from River and Gori because of them speaking Korean. They're very, very vocal within the game. Right? Like, if you're in the stands, you can hear them talking all the time and making plans. It's one of the reasons they're so effective as a 2v2 in mid-jungle.
Yeah, I mean, Golden Guardians actually talks in Korean and English.
And Huhi kind of bridges the gap between the two of them.
Yeah, so it's pretty similar to kind of how TL probably is right now. So both these teams have like that mix of like, you know, Korean players and American players, and it's kind of like, you know, it's actually really interesting to me how it works out for them.
Yeah, I think that the way that the players mesh with one another even outside of the Rift does have a role in how that communication carries forth without the use of language, right? I know that over on Team Liquid side, APA coming into this Korean-speaking team, but spending 15 hours a day in the Team Liquid office, according to his interview with Travis Gafford. And sometimes you don't need words, right? How do you feel that comes into play when just being on the same page as your teammates and how you view the game?
Well, I think it's to an extent, yeah. Like, it definitely will help. Like, you know, spending a lot of time together outside of the game, being on the same page. But I do think that, like, especially when it comes to, like, mid-game and plan making, I do think that still is a pain point for these teams, and it does show in their games. So having that advanced level of communication on what you're going to do next, how you're going to play the map, these type of things, I do think the language barrier will still hurt them. But, you know, if you win early game and you do well enough in fights together, have that synergy, it definitely bridges that gap a bit. So
yeah, I completely agree. The early game is actually not that important for super in-depth communication, and team fighting is instincts, but the mid game is hard. Yeah. It's not, you know, Pyosik help. It's many more complex things.
Also, I'm not really sure what happened top, but I don't know, like, we've kind of not been watching, but I'm not sure if the level 3 thing really messed him up, but this is a huge CS gap right now for Summit. I mean, and he has a freeze right now. This is only going to get worse. We're talking like maybe a 30+ CS lead right now after this freeze is fully, like, you know, taken care of. So, wow, I don't know what happened.
So a nice lead down bot, though. Lock onto Stixxay. Now Hook lands onto Huhi, who goes through for Lock himself, but Stixxay is able to poke off enough for JJ and Yeon, just keeping them pushed under turret.
Oof, this is looking brutal for Licorice. That freeze is still up there, too.
I mean, he's been holding the freeze. I just checked. He's been holding the freeze since 6.5 minutes. So it's been a 2-minute freeze up here that he's just held.
Oh, God.
And Licorice isn't willing to, he's not able to break it.
This is a disaster.
Okay, now it's,
you're waiting for the 8?
That's going to bounce.
Yeah.
Yes, this will bounce now. And the thing is, Licorice is mid now, so Rumble's going to push the next 2 waves. Like this, he's going to push now, and then he's just going to base, and he's going to have a huge buy over the Jax. And
2.5-minute Rumble freeze.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how that happened.
Okay.
Which is why now it seems that Licorice is attempting to make the most of it. He was with River to grab up that Rift Herald, and then now in the jungle on his own. Lots of warding afforded for Golden Guardians on that top side, but he has to try and pick up some of this farm as it has bounced back towards his turrets.
Eat up, Licorice, eat up. You know, you gotta get what you can get right now, because, you know, this is a really, really brutal CS gap right now that we're looking at. So we'll see if he can actually stabilize in the game.
A little bit of intermittent fasting for Licorice. Really just popped his first meal of the day. We'll see how he can bounce back against Summit, who was really putting in work in that top side.
Yeah.
Oh, arrow in mid.
Oh. You know, APA has stabilized a bit from the early game. I mean, it's still, you know, probably going to be like a 20 CS gap, got a plate gap for the Azir, which is still going to be a problem, but at least he hasn't died more, which I definitely expected to happen given how doomed his lane was.
Yeah, and it does mean, though, that I think River's really been able to kind of go where he wants, but after those first 2 kills hasn't been that effective, and also wasn't able to, like, bail out Licorice in this top lane that much, unless Licorice finds the right window to all in.
Pop the Grandmaster might. Pyosik is coming
And it's
through
frozen.
lane, and it's gone.
Yeah, I mean, Licorice has TP at least, so it's not the end of the world, but I mean, his jungler's bot right now, and Pyosik's just sitting here showing on vision, so there's literally nothing he can do other than just base, and honestly, he's probably just going to walk back to lane, because unless Rumble pushes here, which it looks like he did, or I'm not sure actually.
No.
Yeah, it's still, okay, he's TPing back, but this is just, this is rough.
Revenge. Remember how I talked to you about the... Oh, there's a fight.
Oh, hold up. Flay gets the flash from Stixxay Moonlight Vigil, sets up some damage, and the heal for the speed up. Both summoners used by CoreJJ cannot land the death sentence on the re-engage. Oh, wow. Gori falling into some trouble across mid.
Oh, that's huge.
Dash away from Pyosik, but followed up by River. Looking to get another hit with the Q, and it's good. River now at 3 kills after his mid laner has fallen.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw how much damage Viego did there, but he's already at Sunder. So this is usually the time of the game where the jungler does start to hard carry. You know, he was clearing a lot. He wasn't really pressuring around the lane since he had those 2 kills as much, and he is now going to take over this map.
If anything, getting those first 2 kills early enough allowed him to just kind of cruise and get the farming going because those advantages were had. But this is how things cracked open in mid.
Yeah, you can see APA fairly low health under turret. Gori takes the 1 turret shot, and it's just an instinct thing here. Pyosik thinks they're going to be able to get the kill. I feel like if River's there now, it's a big loss for them, but Pyosik can get the kill and ends up trading a 1-for-1.
I think, yeah, that was slightly misplayed by Gori. I think the Azir E just got blocked, but that was almost a pretty big outplay from him. But yeah, I mean, if you could see, River was running straight mid. They kind of knew that was coming, so yeah, it was definitely going to be a big play for the side of Golden Guardians.
So kill and farm lead for River compared to his fellow jungler. Golden Guardians did crash down that Rift Herald on the mid turret while we were in that replay. So gaining some control, and you know, even the threat of a strong Viego, right, does so much for this team.
I mean, if you look too, Rumble still has his TP, so he's probably going to get enough gold for his mythic base and TP back and just ram this Jax. I mean, or he'll just TP bot as well too, because that's another play that they can make. I mean, Ashe has no sums and Rumble has perma push, so if he just pushes the wave one time, backs off,
he just wants to kill him. Summit, he's in lane, he just wants to kill him.
Yeah, I mean, this is the Summit style, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just gonna use his ult. There we go. Like,
yeah.
That's kind of awful, but like it was.
Yeah.
You understand his mindset. If he gets that kill, he can kill more turrets. But now, like, I totally agree with you. A play bottom would have guaranteed this. Now they have to fight a 3v3.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to see him kind of transition that lead top into the bot play because Jax would actually get nothing.
Yeah.
And I do think that TL could really make it happen given that the enemy AD carry has no flash, but nonetheless, it's still, I mean, still really good for the Rumble. I mean, it's, you know, this will be one more play. If he backs off bases, TPs here, keeps pressuring the Jax, which seems like he'll do. Yeah, it's going to be another play probably going on the way of Rumble. So
Continued pressure by Summit up top. That 3v3 had nothing really come of it. Down bot. And the teleport here by APA to return to lane. I mean, Gori just very experienced on the Azir, as most mid laners are, to try and keep him pressured under that turret with a slight lead in his favor. The Kraken Slayer was just finished by Yeon too. So when we're thinking about the power of Yeon and CoreJJ and what they've offered in their wins, you're looking to see what Yeon can do on this Aphelios.
yeah, it looks like Rumble's electing to save his TP as well now. So I am still going to be looking to see if he can make that team play with the TP and kind of try to like explode the game open. But I mean, TL is definitely in a pretty good spot right now too.
Sick.
Oh, one support knocked out, taken out. Huhi pretty bursted. Pyosik gets the kill credit for that one. Even though both of the supports were hovering, waiting for a play to be had, it was only one to be taken out of it.
Really nice mid-jungle combo there, just not giving Huhi a time to react. He had flash the whole time, but was full CC'd from the moment that Pyosik landed the Q. And that'll allow them to set up pretty well around the Drake. I don't know if someone's going to be able to stop River here. He'd probably die if he tries.
Sticking onto the Rift Herald. River's able to pick it up. 30 seconds to go until this dragon spawns, so a good tool for Golden Guardians to have in the setup.
Yeah, and I will say I think that that kill was huge for Viktor as well, because the more you accelerate him with the stacks, the more he can just keep up that push, scale into the game, and
Licorice is going for it. Hops onto APA, but APA has that gravity field to make sure they can't follow up too much, and now Team Liquid hovering down that bot side River, putting the wards in their favor, getting that control in try to try and keep Golden Guardians under a leash.
Yeah, I expect this to be a TL Dragon for sure, just given the state of the lanes right now for Golden Guardians, especially the Jacks. And I do think that on the scaling side, both teams do scale really well, but I feel like the lead right now that top is built, and the lead right now that, I mean, the fact that mid was able to stabilize and scale like this too in the game is going to be a huge problem for Golden Guardians.
Yeah, that's really kind of incredibly underrated. The disaster that was the first 2 deaths onto APA, getting ganked 3 minutes with the wave frozen against him, teleporting back, dying again, still having the wave frozen against him. And then we look back up and it's actually Rumble that's 61 CS up against his opponent. Is surprising.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I definitely expected him to bleed more, and it does give, he should get a lot of credit for being able to be stable here. And that's not just on him. I think that the jungle and support from TL really kind of helped bring him back into the game, played around him, didn't just kind of give up on him in a way. Or I think it's a really strong sign for like TL as a team.
Yeah. Pyosik again waiting in place.
And Stixxay
Interesting spot.
coming into the bush. Channel of the Q. Pyosik just finds 2 more members of Golden Guardians waiting for it. Summit now down with a flamethrower. Pyosik has fallen, and CoreJJ gets the lock and throws the lantern for Summit to return to his side. Jungler lost, but the rest of TL intact.
That's a Pyosik moment a bit, but yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. You kind of just like, wait, where is he? Why is he here? You know?
I think he was hoping that it would just turn out well.
Yeah.
And then when there's 4 people around him, it's that moment where you pause and you say, you may ask yourself, how did I get here? Then he just tries to escape. I thought maybe he was going to try and one-shot Stixxay, but he just wouldn't have had the damage against a cleanse flash Ashe, so he thought maybe he'd get away there. Unfortunately, no.
Oh, lock onto Huhi, who crash downs away from it, stuns both with the Q, and now Summit venturing forward. Licorice was waiting with the leap. Double stun onto CoreJJ, and Summit heal has been popped. Huhi trying to go on back in, goes golden, leaves an opening for Licorice to hop onto Summit before being knocked down back. A stun onto stun after stun after stun to make kill for kill. CoreJJ fallen, and Licorice going right into the grave with Huhi.
That was really close, actually. And I mean, even with Thresh missing the hook, they still were able to get that 2v2 on the TL side. So that was actually really, really well played by TL. And I mean, this lead on Rumble's exploding, and I'm really curious to see if they can actually just continue to play through him and like break open this game.
Yeah, it's such a weird game though, because like these CS and scores are almost lying to you. Like you think 178 CS 2-0, he's giga rich.
Did mid die? Actually, I didn't see. I think something happened.
Yeah, I think we'll see a replay.
Was it a solo kill or? Oh no, it was a gank.
It was a gank. So basically, we have Rumble with 7,000 gold on the bottom side. Gori and River also both have 7,000 gold because they've been feasting on turrets and Victors. So at this point, they're just as rich as Summit, even though Summit seems to be gapping so hard.
Wow. Last second cancel.
Yeah, that's the start of this last fight, and then you can see it's really just a 2v2 brawl. Both teams think they have a pretty high chance of winning this, and as you said, even with the final hook missing, they're still able to get the 2 kills. Licorice can dodge out of a lot of damage here, but I think really clutch play there by Core. Yeah. Nice spacing by Summit at the end.
He flayed him right back into the equalizer there as soon as he queued, so that was really well played by Core.
Now a high presence of Team Liquid across mid. And still the matchup of Licorice and Summit on this bot side. Because even though there was that lead for Summit, it's just now that we're starting to see him in the thick of it with the rest of the team. Licorice hopping on back, wants to keep this turret alive, but Pyosik queuing in. River is here in the mist.
They got him.
He starts to come through with a Heartbreaker. Now River's come to play with Gori on the teleport. Emperor's Divide to knock Pyosik into River's grasp. The reset is good, and CoreJJ will be the next to fall. Gori picks up the kill, and it's back swinging with Golden Guardians over 3,000 gold lead.
Yeah, and here comes River, right? We were talking about how much gold he had early on in the game, and this is where the jungler can really take over. You see that here. They completely collapse on Summit. 3 kills, 2 of them going on to River. That kind of blows the game open.
Yeah, and I mean, to rub salt on the wound, Jax lived as well. So TL got nothing from this, and this is just a complete disaster. And this is one of those things too. It's like they're not. I don't know if they were communicating about the Azir TP, right? The TP advantage that he had on Viktor. Or actually, I don't even think he had TP advantage, but I mean, he did have push on the top lane. So, like Viktor or Azir doesn't give up anything for this TP. He only gains. You know, it's now he could base, catch that top wave, and continue pressuring the map.
And it feels so good when you're Viego and you just got to get that first kill to get those resets coming. And River making a lot of work with that with the rest of Golden Guardians, and now on the top side trying to set up.
And you know, Yeon's been quiet this game, right? Like, he's had that good lane phase. I'm curious to see if that Aphelios, who's now hit 2 items, can really start to do damage in these fights and pop off, because I do think it's going to make the difference in this game.
I mean, it will if they get a chance, because if they don't notice this Baron's happening, they're going to be in a really big hole. They're thinking about mid lane Prime on bot lane, and they're not thinking at all about Baron right now.
Spotted now.
Teleport for Golden Guardians, meaning their team is in full force. Summit does not have TP to rejoin this fight. APA first stepping up, trying to create some space with a Death Ray.
They get it.
Good path marked around the pit and into the back. Multiple stunned up, but in the end, Pyosik centered among everyone from Golden Guardians. They can finish him off. It's the Red Bull Baron buff here for GG.
Oh, big call by Golden Guardians to go for right there. EG did something very similar in the last game of 20 minutes, just bursting down the Baron. And Team Liquid trying to salvage something, but they didn't actually get any kills. And they don't even have a jungler for this Mountain Drake, so Golden Guardians might contest.
I think they'll probably just give, actually, because Jax is actually pushing top with no TP. But like you said, they don't have a jungler, so maybe River tries to go for a steal.
Yeah.
But dying here, even if he gets the steal, if he dies here, it's really bad for Golden Guardian side, because they have Baron. They want to use that Baron for as long as possible. Break those bot turrets. Jax is getting a free turret top right now for this dragon. So all these things actually give Golden Guardians a huge lead in the game.
Yeah, I think you're right. That was a very smart move by River to not go for the steal. And I also kind of really like the fact that Licorice is able to get this wave in that solo turtle, because for as miserable of a game he's had, he's only 600 gold behind the Rumble now with the Baron gold, with the solo turtle. So getting him rescued in this game, I think, is more important than one mid-game dragon.
And now he's going to be a lot more effective than the Rumble, at least in the side lane. You know, in a long side lane here, I do think that the Jax could actually win now 1v1 against Rumble. I think it's a big reason that he picked this champion in the first place. So I think that that's going to be his purpose now, is continue pressuring that side lane. And I don't think either Viktor or Rumble can deal with Jax now.
And pressure on both sides as 4 players strong from Golden Guardians venture up towards this tier 2. Still a minute and a half to go on the Baron buff. They'll take it with ease. Again, that was only the 3rd dragon of the game, so even though Team Liquid pick it up, Golden Guardians don't seem too worried about the stacking. Summit trying to offset Licorice in that mid lane, since he put so much work in up top. They want to push up towards the inhibitor turrets if they can.
Yeah, Golden Guardians is just playing on 2 lanes right now, and you know, trying to break open these inner turrets, and that's pretty standard Baron play. Oh, they're actually just diving too now.
Okay. Bot side, oh, there you go. River's gonna pop off again. Yeon trying to escape. A flay away from CoreJJ keeps him safe. Death sentence lands onto Gori, but they're going for the turret now. Should be able to burn it. Summit, no teleport, pushing down mid, seeing if he can trade back with a turret of his own, but it's an inhibitor that falls in the favor of Golden Guardians.
Hey, Summit got a kill. He's solo kill Licorice on the side there. He did something, but a nice move, I think, overall for Golden Guardians, making the snap engage again onto APA and really making it a hard game for him.
Yeah, that kill from Summit still left him wounded. Enough for Gori to follow up. Has the ult if needed. Does not need it. So takes the kill onto Summit, who did previously get that turret and started to push in more, but now GG are here in full effect. More purple to be worn.
And you know, some people might ask, why did Rumble not flash out there? He could have lived. But I do think that his flash is going to be really important to do something in these fights, like flash onto the Azir, you know, make something happen, because I don't think his death is going to lead to anything more than like a turret loss here, which doesn't really change the outcome of the game. So he did save his flash there. He died, but you know, that's going to be a cooldown that he'll probably have to use to make something happen in these next fights to save TL.
Yeah, because River, we saw Summit so oppressive early on in the game, but it felt like he really only got to throw that gold lead towards that play bottom when he had acquired those 2 kills. And since then, it's been Golden Guardians keeping him at bay and Team Liquid pretty locked in.
Yeah, they are really trapped in their base at the moment. Even if they land a CoreJJ hook, it's not like they can win the fight afterwards with the gold difference between them and Golden Guardians. So I think they're really just hoping the Golden Guardians overplays their hand a bit.
Enchanted Crystal Arrow thrown by Stixxay, seeing if they do find an opening, but at the very least, it creates a space for them to take that tier 2 on mid. Feeling good about it.
And I mean, you mentioned the Thresh as well, or just now, Jatt, but this is when Rell becomes a lot more useful of a champion. I mean, she could just find so many angles with all this vision control and just make flanks happen, make, you know, like they did earlier on the dive, those crazy dives happen. And this is just Huhi showing his power on this champion, which has been like a signature pick for him even before the Rell buffs and changes.
Yeah, and Huhi, just for a moment, has had such a great year, right? Even, I'm going to go further than that. Like, he made so many consecutive finals with 100 Thieves. After giving Golden Guardians their best split ever back in 2020, returns to Golden Guardians, and like suddenly they're good again. This is like a several year-long stretch of just happening to be on a really good team that a lot of people didn't expect to be super good at the start of the split. So he's been, I think, just consistently improving. His teammates talk about his leadership in and out of game, and it seems like Golden Guardians is in a just kind of consistent state of improvement. They're a very strong team.
And at some point you ask, like, okay, well, or you wonder and, you know, maybe just think, like, this is the guy that's making the difference, you know? I think that that's a really important thing to note, right? Like, he must be doing things in game, and I mean, you could just see it from his gameplay alone to carry these teams and make them a top team.
He did talk extensively in his interview with Yeon eSports about it. Pause, see if River's going to go for this play. Yeon having to cleanse away the attempted engage. So Team Liquid, and Gori making sure to block off that death sentence. But I think as a leader, as Huhi ventures down with Golden Guardians, he's been very adaptable. That is so key. 100 Thieves, very pressure-oriented team, trying to keep up that need, that fire to win. Golden Guardians, much more in that laid-back zen zone, trying to keep those very positive vibes. And it's a great interview, I think, if you're trying to look into some of the reasoning of why Huhi is as good as he is as a leader, because there's some intricacies to being a good communicator, but also that adaptability as Golden Guardians show why they're such a strong team, taking their second dragon of this game and keeping up their win conditions.
This Baron's going to be TL's last chance. They have to get a pick here or try something, because pretty soon Golden Guardians is just going to push out top, push out mid, get that jungle vision control, and then just start it and burst it once again.
This is a really similar situation actually to the game you were just in, Revenge, where the team with it's like 2 dragons to 1 or 1 dragon to 2, 7,000 golden on one side. And it's like, it's going to take a while to end this game, but you're going to win this game as long as you don't make a big mistake. So Golden Guardians, I think, kind of playing it slow, getting the waves pushed, looking to take the Baron. And if they do happen to get a couple kills here, the game could be over quite quickly.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to recognize what the enemy team's win condition is going to be to actually, like, win them the game despite them being behind, right? And if you play the steps perfectly, right, you don't make any mistakes in that top jungle, like, you make the chance of them winning a lot smaller, right? So yeah. I think that's kind of just I guess the best way to play League, right?
And fight here. That's interesting.
Yes, GA.
River goes in, followed up by Gori. Yeon steps back to Moonlight Vigil, but River finds him in the end, and Huhi zoned off APA. Summit goes into stasis. A GA popped here as well for the GG side. Double kill afforded to Gori, and Golden Guardians, they get the ace, and they're looking to take the game.
River is smurfing this game, just like start to finish. That looks so silly, but he had his GA, he knew exactly what he was doing, and they totally wiped him.
They showed confidence, you know? It was just confidence that he knew they were too far. He knew they were inting, you know? Like, he saw the angle. Despite, even if he dies, his team should be able to, you know, funnel in there, clean them up, and win them the fight. And that's really well played to River.
A strong lead for River transforms into a strong game for Golden Guardians.
11-5, Golden Guardians extend their best split ever. 10-win curse is definitely broken. There will be no 11-win curse today. And they definitely dunked on Team Liquid a little bit today. 2 kills early against APA in the mid lane. Never let Yeon play the game. Yeah. Pretty much this entire